Hello and welcome to another Office Hours. Capsule. That's right. Capsule. This is a small section of my Office Hours live stream that we talk about Star Citizen lore, news, and more. So come join us live at twitch.tv/TheAstroPub, youtube.com/TheAstroPubLive. Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Pacific. Love to have you join chat here. They're going to lie to you and tell you this is pre-recorded because they always do. Yeah, we talk a lot about Star Citizen, so I'd love to have you come in. Right now, we're going to look at two things. We're going to be looking at the roadmap roundup that happened recently and the monthly report for February for Star Citizen. So if you've been enjoying these videos, if you've been watching these in the past, make sure you hit that follow button, hit the like the video, and subscribe for more content. There's, screw that up, live content. Follow button on Twitch, obviously, but like the video, subscribe for more content, and hit the bell icon to be notified when these release. And before we get into this too much, I do want to mention that this is not a summary. You can probably tell by the length of this video that this isn't a summary. I read through the entire monthly report, so grab something to drink, grab a snack, or if you're listening to this at work, don't worry, your boss isn't paying attention to you, Bill. You're good. Just relax, listen to my dulcet tones, and let's get started with the February monthly report for Star Citizen and the March 6th update for the Roadmap Roundup. Starting with Roadmap Roundup. All right, notable changes for March 6th. Release view. The following cards have been added to release view, targeting for Alpha 3.23 release view. Image upscaling. Implementing support for GPU upscaling, including DLSS, FSR, and in-house TSR solution. Now, this is pretty big because I'm a bit of a smooth brain when it comes to this sort of thing. I'm assuming that DLSS, FSR, and TSR are things to help performance for GPUs. Could be wrong. Maybe they make things look better, but from what I've gathered, they improve performance. So that's good. That's coming in 3.23. That's something that they showed off at CitizenCon, so it's nice to see that they're doing some of that stuff already. They're upscalers to increase FPS. Okay, awesome. Then we have volumetric clouds. So volumetric clouds update. Updating Star Citizen's volumetric cloud technology to improve overall visual quality, including the addition of both volumetric shadows as well as implementation of ground fog. Nice, that's something they wanted to do in 3.22 and they're going to be putting it in 3.23, so that's good. All right. Now, let's look at the monthly report for February 2024. Oh, I'll also mention that the progress tracker is not updated yet. It may be updated next time, but I wouldn't hold my breath. So, all right. AI features. As mentioned in last month's report, AI features continue to develop features for a key initiative, the first iteration of which is planned for Alpha 3.23. Further details will be revealed in the run-up to release. Now, there's been a lot of squawking, a lot of intense discussion about this. People saying, "Oh, what is this? What is this AI special AI features?" And this is why watching me and listening to these monthly reports is probably a good thing, because I can tell you almost certainly what it is. It's a social AI update. Because in the months leading up to them being quiet about the social AI stuff, they started mentioning this, because like last month they did talk about this new initiative. It was an iteration, and this come in 3.23, and they're going to be very cheeky and quiet about it. But the month before that, they were talking about social AI. Social AI with AIs talking to each other, or being more interactive with the player or the environment around them. Almost certainly that is what they're doing. Something around social AI. And it may be tied to an event like ILW or something like that. So who knows? AI tech. During February, AI tech focused on a variety of improvements alongside feature work, including for the navigation system. The main focus of this was on extending the planetary navigation mesh to be able to generate across the whole planet. Due to a limitation of initial implementation, it currently has a latitude limit at which navigation tiles can be created. However, with the new approach, the nav mesh can be generated anywhere on the planet following the physics terrain patches. The devs are currently improving the tile border simplification step to make sure all nav mesh tiles connect correctly with each other. So they've mentioned this specifically, which is as you get closer to the equator, the AIs get confused. And that's why they weren't able to implement the ground navigation mesh the way that they wanted to allow for AI to move around more. And it may be the reason why you see AI just sort of stand there underground if you go to like a base or something like that, because they just may literally not know what to do because it's that navigation mesh. So if you're wondering why they showed off all this tech about them wandering around on the surface, why aren't they wandering around the surface? And it's like because of this. But it's not something they've talked a lot about. So for NPCs using trolleys, focus was on the exact positioning of trolleys in the environment. Now an NPC can correctly push a trolley to a location with an arbitrary orientation. The team also improved transit and elevator usage while pushing trolleys, so the overall flow is more robust and fluid. Something they've been talking a lot about on. Spaceship behaviors were also iterated on to deliver better ship to versus turret combat. Fighters will now correctly target standalone turrets and perform appropriate combat maneuvers or behaviors. Numerous updates have been added to the Apollo tool, such as improved feedback for errors in missions. For example, the overall box that represents a function turns red when the logic contains errors. The team also increased usability when navigating between mission callbacks, allowing for the designers to jump to the appropriate logic from multiple elements of the interface. A new UI for Subsumption tool is underway too. Okay. AI tech continued to support PU release, while an important upcoming feature continued development, which can be experienced in Alpha 3.23. Very cryptic, very cryptic. Watch it be something like the baristas again, the coffee vendors again. Surprise! Art ships. Okay, this is where the big ones come in. Last month, progress was made on the RSI Polaris, with exterior progressing to Lot 0 and the interior approaching its gray box review. Some interior sections were worked up to establish visual target, while others are redesigned to accommodate gameplay and improve alignment with art direction. We were talking about this before the recording started. I mean, it's a possibility that the Polaris makes it to Invictus launch week, to Invictus in May, because it's usually the end of May, if I remember correctly. So it's usually towards the end of that month rather than the beginning. And it's entering its gray box review, which means it's going to enter Lot 0, which is sort of like a hold between it and final art. And then when it hits a final art, that can be a little more complicated. So it really depends on the turnaround, but it's been going really fast because it entered gray box in like October. So it's been going really fast for a large ship. So 2 upcoming variants progressed through the pipeline. One continued its Lot 0 pass, the other continued its Lot 0 gate review. The latter then moved to the final damage and Lot phases, while the UV2 and paints were compiled and improved. Variants for what, though? 2 of them is interesting, too. The Gold Standard Pass continued for the Aegis Retaliator, which is currently awaiting Greybox Gate review. Feedback from a recent Sanity review is currently underway. The ship's base, cargo, and bombing torpedo modules are all progressing well, following minor art direction feedback. 2 unannounced vehicles passed their Lot 0 gate reviews, with only one minor issue to resolve between them. Both will now move into the final phase of development that implements damage meshes and Lot Zeros, or in lots. The RSI Zeus is approaching the end of its gray box, with the team polishing geometry around the ship. A redesign of the cargo hold is nearly complete, as are the changes of the interior frame of the ramp and the ramp piston mechanism. Additional high-frequency detail was added to help increase the illusion of inner structures between the exterior hull and the chassis, while maneuvering thrusters on the nose were moved to allow for better integration into the surface. A redesign of the ship-to-ship docking ring, door, and frame was done to better fit the RSI aesthetic, while the mess hall was highly polished. The ship's habitation is currently being updated. The center hallway and bulkheads were widened to allow for better navigation and consistency too. Polish was completed on another new ship, while another progressed through the white box, gray box, and lot 0. A final lighting pass will be done soon. That sounds like a vehicle. That's got to be like a ground vehicle. If it's going through white box, gray box, and lot 0 in 1 month, that's got to be a ground vehicle or a very small ship. Final lighting pass will soon be done before the damage and lot work. Yeah, the Zeus. That's a lot of ships. Let's do the count. That's Polaris 1, 2 variants, so it's 2 ships, so it's 3 ships. Retaliator 3, 2 new vehicles. So that's 6. Then the Zeus, which has 3 variants, so that's 9, plus 2 other ones. So that's 11 ships. That's 11 ships in development. Most of them are in Lot 0 or Gray Box. That's kind of insane. It's a huge amount of ships. Art weapons. Weapon art worked through the host of updates planned for Alpha 3.23, including scope magnification and optics improvements. The aim is to overhaul the whole scope system to bring it up to modern FPS standards. The existing iron sights across all weapons were updated too. Alongside this, updates were made to improve and streamline reloading across all weapons. We kind of saw that with the ISC this week. So, community. The community team supported 2 major events in February, the Red Festival and Core and More. The latter is with the first date in the verse screenshot contests and a guide to enjoying activities together. Hundreds of pictures and videos were taken by the community during the events, available to view on the community hub. The team supported various community events. Congratulations to everyone in the French-speaking community who participated in the Destination Cache event. I'm probably butchering that. The puzzles were particularly well thought out, putting together each of the 4 teams to the test. A pirate team nearly captured a participant, and the security teams had their share of fun as well. We hope that everyone who enjoyed the participating or watching their events, their favorites on Twitch. We also want to bow to everyone who fought in the recent Verse at War 2 edition, our 2nd edition. We love seeing everyone fighting for their teams in early February. March is quickly coming, and we're eager to follow the action in the next Crux Cup from NZA Racing. Ready, set, go. Community team. Crux Cup's awesome. You also should check it out. It's coming up this weekend. So, community team continued detailing the weekly and monthly schedules in This Week in Star Citizen, This Month in Star Citizen, and This Month in Star Citizen. They also officially announced CitizenCon 2954, which returns to Manchester, UK, October 19th and 20th. The team is already deep in planning for the event and want to remind you that it is not to miss this one. Finally, the team updated the Arena Commander schedule, which keeps players up to date on Arena Commander's rotating game modes. They've also been working on a variety of initiatives to support upcoming release of Alpha 3.23, 4.0, and beyond. Core gameplay. February saw the core gameplay pillar continuing to refine and improve the new backpack reloading ahead of QA testing. For example, magazines are now repacked in players' inventories, so multiple half-empty mags are condensed into fewer full ones. Support continued for the ongoing scope updates, including correctly folding down iron sights when sights are attached. Support for blur on the outside of the sights is currently underway. The team also enabled the weapon customization UI to look more holographic instead of UI styling. So that's I was seeing that there's some kerfluffle about how when you look down the sights, it's like the you can still see the sides, like it doesn't like just look down the sights. And I was like, well, just add blur to the outside, and that's the secret for that sort of thing. So it looks like you're looking through the sights. And yeah, I think that's what they're gonna do. That makes sense. It's fine. It also forces you to focus on the scope, which is nice. For item wear and misfire, further work was completed on the accumulator system. Additional tools were implemented to make working and testing the system easier too. For player interaction, wait, this is the core gameplay, right? So I forgot to mention the core gameplay team is the combination of like 8 other teams. So one of the things that you'll notice is if you've not been following the changes to the team structure, CIG has essentially reworked everything into new teams. If you watched the interactions like ISC, you heard Team Kane or Kine, and then Team Chad, I can't remember what it is. There's a new team that was for the FPS stuff. That's what they're doing now. The core gameplay team is now broken up into individual groups, and I think they're named after the group leaders, and so they kind of move through that. So that's what this is. This is like the old individual teams like FPS and ship gameplay and all that kind of stuff. They all been combined into one team. Knuckles, Nook. Knuckles. I don't know. Thank you, chat. I'm butchering whatever it is, but I don't remember what it was. For the player interaction team, the team spent a lot of time bug fixing and polishing. They also added a game option to hide the F prompt and add a new control hint for when the off-screen interaction is available. The devs then added the ability to show the loot screen from the interaction wheel. Players will also now auto-crouch if an object or looting is below them. Support was added to automatically open the inventory UI instead of the loot screen if the lootable container is above a certain capacity too. The team are working on replacements for the legacy quick buy UI using building blocks. This will be used for renting vehicles during events. Work continued on the freight elevator kiosk UI backend too. For the ongoing visor/lens HUD work, progress continued on various UI elements, including priority notifications, mission objectives, and chat. We saw a little bit of that when the latest ISC as well. Regarding EVA, core gameplay continued to implement and improve networking support and ensure that players' arms and head entities don't clip into their torsos when traversing and rotating, so you don't turn into an eldritch abomination. For prone, players will now be forced out when they perform actions that require them to crouch, such as melee attacks. Further locomotion improvements were made in collaboration with Animation Team 2. For master modes, core gameplay continued working on the design to tune archetypes. They also so far have completed around 90% of the initial conversion, with further tuning passes and refinement to be done before release. Work continued on jump points, with the team implementing an updated alignment metric. The new UI was also added to give players information on whether their ships are capable of completing travel. Successful tests transitioning between Stanton and Pyro across 2 separate servers were completed too. So yeah, they already have internal working server meshing. For resource network and engineering, heat gameplay was added, which enables items to generate heat based on their usage. Items will require coolant if necessary and will overheat and degrade in functionality if not addressed. That's another interesting thing to add to the FPS gameplay. They could probably add that to laser weapons or energy weapons. So, very interesting. Life support is now fully integrated into the resource network, with life support generator and tank now functional. Improved debugging tools were added for the room system to help better understand how the resource network and life support interoperate. For radar and scanning, core gameplay completed an important refactor to reduce the number of radar components on vehicles and share data between seat operators. Very important. That is very important. The ability to share your radar information and your sensor information with another ship? Is that what that means? Or seats it up different seats? Okay, it's a little different. Previously, each seat operator had a unique radar. Now vehicles can share the single radar across all operators. This means that a pilot or a radar operator can focus on collecting radar and scan results that are then shared between all the team. That means you can have somebody who actively scans and pings and does those things while somebody else focuses on flying. That's nice. This means that a pilot and a radar operator can focus on collecting the radar and scan results that are then shared between all vehicle turrets rather than each turret needing to scan for themselves. While it's still possible for vehicles to contain multiple radars, in time, the team will merge the majority into a single shared unit, which will not only improve performance, but gameplay too. The team also supported elevators for the upcoming instance hangars and supported quantum travel and markers working alongside server meshing when transitioning into a new solar system. This is the new hover map, I believe. For Arena Commander, the team concluded engineering work for streaming. This technology will allow Arena Commander to utilize any persistent universe location with ease and avoid duplicating planets or other object containers, which was previously required to call expensive locations such as cities and space stations. The engineering work for custom lobbies is nearing completion. Following the successful integration tests, the system is being handed off to QA for release assessment. The team also began work on some basic custom settings such as score limit, time limit, and match cycle options to provide players with more control over their lobbies. Several internal tests were concluded on engineering experimental modes after an update to the backend matchmaker. New loadouts were created with all the equipment engineers will need for the mode, which is being prepared for a go, no-go for an upcoming release. The team also began focusing on Arena Commander front end. Recently, the focus has been on functionality, but now we're excited to improve not just the overall UX of Arena Commander's UI, but to bring it in line with the quality and style established across the rest of the game, core gameplay pillar. Finally, the team completed the back-end work required for Grav Royale and other upcoming game mode and other upcoming game modes and maps. They also continued to enable streaming across all maps while supporting the release of Alpha 3.22.1 with several fixes and quality of life upgrade changes. Core gameplay continued working on an underlying mission system refactor ahead of server meshing. Further progress was made on mission perks and reward system 2. An update was made to the reputation-based hostility, ensuring that if someone is being attacked, any nearby allied security faction members will come to their defense. This also means that factions with negative reputation with the attacked players will not intervene. Oh, that's messed up. For those of you who don't know what that means, it means that if you're at a, like, say, a space station in Pyro, and there are multiple factions, Rough and Ready runs it, but they have, Xenothreats there and Headhunters are there. And you are not friends with the Headhunters, and the Headhunters start beating you up. But you're also not friends with Xenothreat. Xenothreat walks into the situation. They'll sit there, and they'll JoJo meme. They'll just kind of sit there and watch your butt get absolutely kicked. Maybe even joining in on the action. Just enjoying the scene. That's great. Contracts Manager was converted to building blocks. I'm just reading chat. Contracts Manager will be converted into building blocks in preparation for the new mobiGlas. Further polish and UX improvements are currently underway in collaboration with the UI team. I'm sorry, my brain's still going back to that. It's like, sounds like you've got a problem, buddy. Good luck. Hope you're good. Hope everything's fine. Thoughts and prayers. Oh, persistent and instance hangers. For persistent instance hangers, work began on instance interior system. This manages which hangar instance exists. Manage which hangar instance exists, need to be created, and which physical gateways are used to transition between the instance and the rest of the game world. So like if you're in a Hangar 2 and Hangar 2 needs to get reused, your Hangar 2 will disappear for everybody else, but someone landing will be able to land out at Hangar 2, and it'll be their Hangar 2 for now. So there'll be 2 Hangar 2s in existence. And then if you need to leave that Hangar 2 and the other ship is still in their Hangar 2, calling it to leave, you can leave. And if that ship tries to call to leave a minute later or a second later than you do, it'll hold them until that transition happens. So your back just got hit twice. Yes. Progress was, the team implemented the initial version of automated cargo loading and unloading, including displaying information on ASOP terminals. That ship is currently unavailable. Terminals that the ship is currently unavailable for retrieval due to being loaded or unloaded. Wait, what? That's huge. So are they adding automated cargo loading for 3.23? So yeah, we know manual cargo loading exists, but they're also going to add automated cargo loading. You're going to have to probably like store it and then it'll be loaded in. That's interesting. Just saying it's gonna be slow. It's probably gonna be slow, but like that's not something I expected them to do. I expected them to just be like, "Here you go, suck it up, Buttercup. You gotta load it in by hand." That's a nice little change. Progress was also made on the freight elevator and loading platform occlusion logic, which determines where items can be placed on the elevator or platform. Support was also given to locations team for marking up hangars with loading platforms and freight elevators. Finally, core gameplay. For core gameplay, the team worked on various debug tools to aid in testing and debugging the various systems that drive instance hangars and the warehouse system and loading platforms. The warehouse system? Economy. Last month, the economy team made changes to bring salvage mode more in line with the PU's other careers. Salvage is getting nerfed, y'all. 3.23 is about to take salvage to town. They're currently rebalancing commodities to improve the cargo career experience. Sell all of your salvage stocks. Invest in cargo. Support was also provided for the Xenothreat Global event, and the team began to work at FPS ammo prices. Oh god, they're going to increase the price of ammo, aren't they? It's now dirt cheap. Xenothreat Global event. That's the second time we've heard about a Xenothreat Global event. I'm interested to see what that goes. Graphics, VFX programming, and planet tech. So I don't know if we're going to get any more engine discussions here. So this is where I go, I am not an engineer. I do not know the will of the Omnissiah. I cannot turn rocks into replicators. And I am unable to memorize how things are built by Forerunner technology. I am but me, smooth brain bartender me. So there's going to be stuff in here that I don't understand, and if I don't understand it and you understand it, watching this after the fact, please tell me what it is in the comments below. I'd love to hear that. Throughout February, the graphics team progressed on their longer-term tasks. For example, the work is near completion on the unification of gas cloud and planet cloud upscaling, though challenges caused by animated lights in gas clouds need to be solved. The gas occlusion effect is also nearing completion, which will increase the detail of nearly all gas clouds, even in flat-lit scenarios. The team also resolved the long-standing issue that caused harsh line to appear when 600 meters from where the glass cloud blends with the near fog system. The global illumination team continued to work on the system to approximate complex materials within a ray-traced view of the world. Last month, they began looking into performance improvements before tackling some of the more complex issues like moving objects and zones. February saw the Vulcan team pushing hard towards release. I said we're going to get Vulcan in 3.23. I still think it. I think that's going to be the surprise release. That's going to be the, hey, surprise, we have Vulcan integration. Working through various performance issues, such as compiler bugs caused by Vulcan's complex shaders. They also worked on a shader cache mechanism to compile render shaders while the game is loading to avoid hitches. They're also considering whether this process can later run in the patcher to further reduce the chance of compiling when the game starts. Although progressing, this may not be fully complete by the initial public release. Yeah, they've already said that when they first released Vulcan, it wouldn't be complete. It would just be the first version, and then they would slowly update it over time. Devs from Water Strike Team closed out the issues that came up with their final review, alongside several new features, including SDF interaction for accurate collisions when vehicles hit water, and an improved water intersection shader. Last month, the Planet Tech team began improving the editor workflow for creating planets and planned out the next version of Planet Tech version 5. That's the AI-powered one, isn't it? Planet Tech V5 will cover a variety of areas, but the primary goals are to make creating planets quicker and easier, and to try to achieve more diversity, density, and consistency in quality across whole planetary surfaces. Yeah, it's the AI system. CIG talked about this at CitizenCon, where they're using, it's not language models, it's blanking on the name. It's a more kind of older version of AI, machine learning. Thank you, chat. Machine learning AI to dynamically create planets faster. So they can plug in a couple of variables and they'll make that planet with those variables. So it means that they can, what used to take them a week could take them a day. It could take them an hour to produce realistic, more diverse, better planets. And like that scale better from space to ground is the idea. So, because right now the biomes are a little rough when they kind of bleed in from one to another, and where they're placed don't always make sense. So having a generation which takes into account things like how far they're away from the equator, how far that planet is from its star, what its atmosphere composition is, all those sorts of things start mattering, because then you can start like logically figuring out planets rather than just whatever an artist feels like. The rest of the graphics team focused on improving their upscaling tech ahead of its public release. This involves finalizing a new mesh format that gives major performance improvements. So yeah, it sounds like we're going to get more FPS in 3.23. We're going to get Vulcan. We're going to get multiple ships. We're getting new economy stuff, a new global event. I don't know. This is huge. This is beefy. This is massive. Engineer experimental modes, automated loading and unloading. Oof. Lighting. February saw the lighting team continue to support with various upcoming PU initiatives, including distribution centers, instance hangars, freight elevators, and the new character customizer. Locations EU. In February, the landing zone team worked with the feature team to finalize working prototype for the cargo and new hangar experience. Final art and LODs are now nearing completion with all the modifications to the hangars necessary for this exciting new feature. Sandbox 2 team worked towards closing out the upcoming distribution centers. For example, art is being finalized and optimized, while level design added the final tweaks to make sure that the various areas can support all the gameplay mission team want to add. Mission design. Last month, the mission design continued to work on a chain that comprises various mission types that scale in difficulty. Yes! 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 Bison meme. Oh, I've been waiting for that so hard. Oh. Thank you, Elliot and team. I only know Elliot that does mission stuff. I would like to know more mission team designs. You are all awesome. Elsewhere, designs for new missions are currently being signed off, while content and technical requirements are underway for future hauling content. Nice. The development of Xenothreat 1.2 continued, with changes to gameplay and implementation of freight elevators, while Blockade Runner received the polish and implementation of freight elevators. Man, Xenothreat. So Xenothreat has always been my favorite event, and they're really teasing me about the Xenothreat thing. We're going to get something big with Xenothreat. Ooh. If they did my idea, for those of you who don't know, when Xenothreat first released, I did a video kind of talking about what was good and what was bad and what I would suggest doing in the future to make the universe feel more like realistic. And from what I've gathered, they might have taken some of that, because obviously it's not just me. Obviously other people said that. They may have literally taken that suggestion, because it's all about narrative and how you tell a story and how you make people feel like it's an invasion rather than just being a bunch of yahoos show up with Idrises sort of thing. So I'm hoping, I'm excited to see what they're going with that. I'm excited. Narrative. Speaking of story and narrative, February saw a flurry of mission work as narrative focused on the upcoming Alpha 3.23 patch. Alongside UI and hint text, many of the new gameplay features will have corresponding missions, and the team have been working closely with the design to develop the narrative players will experience. For example, the new distribution centers feature a wide variety of missions, new and old. Additionally, narrative work began on the new Pyro-based missions to help expand the gameplay at all its various locations. Looking further forward, progress continued on future story missions. These will be more involved than typical missions, featuring things like bespoke dialogue and custom logic. The hope is that these missions, these types of missions will serve to build out the story of a wider universe and work alongside more traditional systemic missions. Okay, I gotta pause this. I have to pause this. For those of you who know me, I also run a channel called The Astro Historian, where I talk about lore. And I have been holding off on doing a video talking about how CIG could improve lore in-game and like kind of my suggestions what CIG would do, because I figured CIG aren't stupid. I am but smooth to brain me. And many of these people have done many works in other video games or have been thinking about this 24/7 since they started working for CIG. So they probably have a lot more insight and understanding, both the writers and the gameplay designers and the mission designers, all these folks. All of these folks probably know more than I do. They 100% do. So I didn't want to like step on toes and be like, well, look at me, I have all these ideas. And this is one of those things that I was really hoping they do. What this means is mission givers. That's what this means. That's what this means. It means mission givers. Tecia Pacheco, Tessa Bannister, the mission givers like Clem, all of these people who have been basically abandoned for, ever. Miles Eckhart, the original mission giver, like they've been abandoned. They've been kind of given little tosses here and there, but they're the connections that you will have to the universe, to the factions that you fight for or you engage with. They're going to give you a peek into the universe of Star Citizen that you don't see through world building and kind of just absorption. The details, the laws, the other major players, those sorts of things. So, yeah, I'm excited. That's big. That's massive for me. Last month, the narrative design team continued to develop the tourist behaviors that will bring new life to Star Citizen's large in-world events. I'm looking forward to that. It's been an interesting balancing how to make sure that NPC's presence is felt while not being overly distracting from the event itself. Just don't make them American, and you'll be fine. Annoying American tourists. Finally, several new narrative posts were written, including Whitley's Guide to the Valkyrie and a fresh batch of Galactopedia articles. Awesome. R&D. In February, the R&D team continued to work on the temporal render mode. History filtering was switched to a custom bicubic filter to avoid diffusion and resampling blur due to repeated history lookups. Care was also taken to eliminate potential ringing artifacts during strong camera movements. The temporal filtering for transmittance was improved to avoid glowing, thin silhouettes around objects in foregrounds with clouds and the sun beating behind them. Various improvements were made to preserve history details for as long as possible, slow movement, no significant cloud dissolution, etc., and to quickly converge to a full resolution image in case history needs to be rejected. Yeah, chat's saying this just means blur. Are we getting rid of blur? The blur that everybody hates? Man, this is going to be a new game. This is CIG basically throwing everything okay, I'm not going to say that because someone's going to get mad when I say that. They're just out with the old, in with the new. Tech art animation. Last month, the tech animation team focused on refining head assets and cleaning up technical debt around their implementation. This comes as a precursor to polishing head assets and refining eye alignment in the editor to ensure characters look as good as possible. More moist eyeballs. Further to this, a large contingent of the department is working on asset setup for lockers. These will be placed throughout the verse to allow players and NPCs to change their apparel to something more appropriate to their current priorities. Get ready. Get ready, baby. Get ready. This sounds simple, but in practice we have to support a wide variety of assets that can be stowed and recovered from these vessels. It can take quite some time to ensure everything is set up correctly. Tech art animation team. That is a big one, because one of the things you'll notice everywhere, like there's a bunch of lockers in and around all of the security checkpoints at any of the locations you want to land at. That's because if you want to go to any landing zone, you're going to have to get into your civilian clothes. Your armor's got to be gone, your weapons have got to be gone, everything but your civvies have to be there. So the lockers are designed to let you change into your civvies so you can go through security. So yes, your civilian clothes will matter in game. The team also kicked off initiatives to ensure that health of the build remains stable and triage technical debt built up over the course of the project. VFX. Last month, the VFX team continued working on several upcoming locations, including freight elevators and distribution centers. They also investigated an issue with planetary ground storms where fog was coming up too thick when light winds arrived. Although it's difficult to balance dynamic effects such as this, it will be easier for players to see where they are going if the storm is relatively mild. That's awesome. That's something we wanted to see. So, this is thick. I'm not going to call it extra thick, but it's thick. Lots of stuff for clouds, improvements to graphics. We know we're getting DLSS support and other sort of things to help improve performance for players. We're getting the removal of blur, or at least the changing of how blur functions in graphics. We're getting new head assets. We're getting a brand new kind of like the beginnings of the locker system for swapping out into your civilian gear out of armor. Narrative is doing bringing mission givers back. We know we've got new multi-stage missions, multi-level missions with different kind of changing details. Xeno Threat is coming back with a vengeance. We've got all of the stuff for 3.23, like distribution centers and freight elevators being worked on, and the new Vulcan is being added. New planet tech is being worked on. The economy is, balancing. They're nerfing salvage and buffing cargo. I can't even go through all of the stuff for the core gameplay, but let me see if I can just grab some quick updates. Contract manager being updated. Arena commander experimental modes for engineering. A bunch of new Arena Commander stuff. Radar and scanning is now being updated, with allowing for everyone in the ship to operate the scanner to update everyone's seats. Resource heat is added. Life support's been added. Jump points are in. Master modes is being worked on. EVA core gameplay has been added. HUD rework. UI is completely finally being completely swapped over with building blocks. The new loot screen stuff, it's nuts. The optic improvements for the scopes. We've got 11 new ships, 11 ships being in production in some case, including the Polaris entering Lot 0. The Zeus coming in, like brand new ships coming in. Gold's Pass for the Retaliator. We've got spaceship behavior improvements, trolleys, navigation system, so AI can now actually move on the surface of the planet now. And of course, the super secret, totally don't tell anybody social stuff that this working on for the AI features. That is thick. That is a lot of stuff. It's hard to believe they're doing all of this at once. But I think they are, based off of third-hand, second-hand knowledge that I have. I know a couple people who work at CIG, more than a few, and the stuff that I've gathered, kind of talking with them, is a lot of they busy. It is busy, and anybody who's been following this project long enough knows that March isn't a busy month. Typically, it's a fairly active month, but it's not like this is sort of like October, September sort of busy, it sounds like. So I don't know. Maybe I'm full of hopium. Let me know in the comments below. Do you think I am far too high on hopium and copium right now, or is this the appropriate amount of hype for what's coming out with 3.23 and coming out soon? I want to know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you to everyone who's watching here live. And of course, join us live Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. I'd love to have you join us with the conversation as well. And like I say every time, hope to see you someday in the black.